Today, we are diving deep into one of the most dynamic sectors on the entire planet, the Indian automotive industry. And let me tell you, it is a story that's all about incredible scale, fierce ambition, and some truly staggering potential.
So, let's just kick things off with one number to set the stage. $250 billion. That's the value of India's auto industry right now. And to put that into perspective, that number has shot up by over 60% in just the last 10 years.
You know, that massive valuation makes India the third largest auto industry in the world. It's sitting right behind the two titans, America and China. But as you're about to see, number 3, well, that might just be a temporary spot.
And this, right here, brings us to the central question that makes this market so unbelievably fascinating. For all its size, car ownership is still incredibly low. We're talking just 8% of households. Now, you might think that's a weakness, but it's not. It's a launch pad. So the real question is, just how big can this thing actually get? Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to really grasp the scale of this new global powerhouse. Then, we'll take a look back at its journey from a closed-off market to a real global contender. After that, we'll analyze the engine of today's market, jump into the electric vehicle revolution, and finally, we'll look ahead and see what's on the road to 2030.
All right, first up, let's really get a handle on the sheer scale of this industry and, why absolutely everyone is watching it so closely right now.
This chart really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? You've got India at $250 billion, China at $530, and the US way up at $880 billion. Now, India is solidly in third place, but look at that gap to the top. That's not just a gap, that's a runway. There is so much room to grow.
Now, let's talk about a key idea here, the motorization rate. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. It's just the number of cars for every 1,000 people. And in India, that number is a mere 40. This crazy low rate is the clearest sign you can get of a market with massive, and I mean massive, untapped demand just waiting to be unleashed.
So, how did India even get here? To really understand where things are today, we got to rewind the clock. Because the industry we see now wasn't built overnight. Nope, it's the result of decades of huge policy shifts and some absolute game-changing moments.
And this timeline tells the whole story. It all started back in 1952 with the License Raj, a super protectionist system that basically choked consumer choice. The first real shakeup, that came in 1983 with the Maruti 800. This was the car that put a whole generation on wheels. Then, boom, 1991's economic liberalization just blew the doors wide open for global giants. And then you have 2006's sub-4-meter rule, a totally unique Indian policy giving tax breaks to smaller cars. That single rule created the entire compact car segment that just dominates the market to this day.
Okay, so after that whole journey, what does the industry actually look like right now? Let's take a quick snapshot of the key segments, the big players, and where all the action is happening.
And this chart illustrates a point that you have to understand. When we talk about the Indian auto market, we're not just talking about cars. We are overwhelmingly talking about two-wheelers. They make up more than 76% of all vehicles sold. They are the true engine of mobility for millions and millions of people. And when you look at who's running the show, you see this really cool mix of domestic champs and global powerhouses. In passenger cars, Maruti Suzuki is king, but you've got Hyundai and a really resurgent Tata Motors right on their tail. The two-wheeler world is ruled by giants like Hero MotoCorp and Bajaj. And for commercial vehicles, it's Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland leading the pack. All this manufacturing isn't just happening in one spot either. It's packed into 3 major clusters. You've got the north, around Delhi, which is Maruti Suzuki's stronghold. The west, near Pune, is a huge hub for brands like Tata and Mahindra, and then the south, around Chennai, isn't just a manufacturing center, it's a critical export hub for global brands shipping cars all over the world.
All right, now for what is honestly the most exciting part of this whole story, the future. India is making this incredibly ambitious, policy-driven pivot to electric vehicles. And believe me, the transformation is happening at a breathtaking pace.
Just let this number sink in for a second. By 2030, just the financing for electric vehicles in India is projected to be a $50 billion industry. This quote just shows the sheer economic gravity of this shift. We're not just talking about changing cars. We're talking about building an entirely new economic ecosystem from the ground up.
Now, this massive shift isn't just happening by chance. It's being powered by a really clear government strategy. You've got the PLI scheme, which basically pays companies to build EVs right there in India.
Then there's the FAME scheme, which gives money directly to you, the buyer, to make EVs cheaper to own. And the new PM eDrive program ties it all together, fast-tracking everything from charging stations to local manufacturing.
So, as we look towards the horizon, what are the tailwinds pushing this industry forward, and what are the headwinds holding it back? Let's chart the final leg of our journey towards 2030.
You know, the path forward is really a balance. On one side, you have these incredibly powerful growth drivers, a booming middle class, cool new tech like AI and 5G in cars, and this trend called premiumization, which just means people want more features, more safety, more comfort. But on the other side, there are definitely some speed bumps. Global supply chain headaches, crazy fuel prices, and just fierce competition mean the road ahead won't always be a smooth ride.
Which leaves us with this final thought. You've got this perfect storm brewing, a market with unbelievable untapped demand, a government pushing hard for a high-tech electric future, and a rising consumer base that's hungry for more. All the ingredients are there, so really the question is no longer if India will be a dominant automotive power, but just how dominant can it possibly become.